Hello guys, how's it going? My name is TJ and welcome back to our tour around the world in the 747-8 freighter. I am very happy to have you back with me on the second leg of our tour, which will be from Singapore up to Hong Kong. So in comparison to the last flight over from Luxembourg, it will be a rather short flight. Airtime is scheduled today at 3.5 hours exactly, so yeah, that should be a pretty sweet flight into Hong Kong. We have just seen a rather nice sunrise here in Singapore. It's now early morning time, around 8 AM local time. And yes, so GSX is already done with all the boarding. The fuel is loaded as well. So we can go straight ahead and have a look at the flight plan for today. Today it will be CargoLux 4507 on the 5th of July from Singapore to Hong Kong. Cost index 60 as on all the flights. Winds are really not too important for us today since it's a short flight anyway. Scheduled departure time is 8:25 local, and then arrival into Hong Kong is, I believe, 12 o'clock local, so just midday. And yes, as already mentioned, trip time 3 hours and 30. Final reserves 45, block fuel 40.4 tons. I have set us up rather light today, 256.1, since I believe there's not too much cargo probably being shipped from Singapore to Hong Kong on a CargoLux flight, but I believe it would be pretty full loaded onto the next flight over to the US. So yeah, today just a little bit of cargo on board. Load level around 40%, and then when we leave Hong Kong we will probably be fully loaded up. And takeoff weight 296.3. Yes, we will be cruising at 390. I believe I will not worry too much about all the other step climbs, since yeah, for the 3-hour flight we are fine to cruise at just one flight level, I believe. Alright, so that's the most important stuff from the flight plan. I believe we should be pretty close to scheduled departure time already, so we will jump straight into the flight deck. Okay, so here we are. As already mentioned, the aircraft is loaded up. We have 40.4 tons of fuel on board. That's perfect. Now I believe we can go ahead and close the remaining doors, close all. And then at the same time, let's go ahead and start the APU. Okay, so ACARS is connected and the flight plan is loaded in, so we can do the performance, which should be very much in line. Reserves 11, cost index 60, 390, that's correct. I would just enter this to 0 since I'm not planning on doing any step climbs. In terms of departure, we will be out of 20 right, so the same one we landed on, and the departure route will be the, I have to double check, Mersing 8 Foxtrot, which is the VMR 8 Foxtrot, there it is. And having a look at the charts, so we will climb runway heading 203 to LEDOX, then to let go. DIFSA, where we want to be at max 230 knots, so we will not exceed 230 knots until we get to there. And then yeah, pretty much follow along the star with a couple of altitude minimums, which should not be an issue today since we are super light. And yeah, that's pretty straightforward. And then we will be off to the north and head towards Hong Kong. Now we need to load in the wind data as well, and in the meantime initialize the flight performance. Perfect, execute. VNAV transition altitude Singapore for this star, sorry, this SID of course, is 11,000. Okay, and then the performance. So conditions are dry. Now let's get a view at the weather for today. Okay, there we are. So we have winds 170 at 4. Temperature 28, that's correct. And altimeter is 1010. Alright, so pretty decent weather. Takeoff 2 should be enough for today. Optimum aircon is, yeah, let's leave it on, it's super hot. And we are light, and anti-ice will be off. Center of gravity. (22.3). And then let's see what we get. Oh, okay, not even takeoff 2. That's interesting. Calculate. Okay, flap 20, takeoff 1, selected temperature 57. Okay, so 57 and takeoff 1. 7, now let's delete it again. And this even gives us a climb 2, and that's also fine. Flaps 20, center of gravity, and that would be 32, 32, 49. So that's completely in line with the QRH. That's perfect. All right, and quickly checking fuel on board 11.8 up on arrival. Given that minimums or reserve fuel is 11, that's not too much actually, but yeah, still in line. Okay, and that's great. So we can get going on the checklist. Pre-flight checklist is completed. And over here, let's put the APU on, and then we can get the external power disconnected. Those go to aux for the parking brakes. And then we can release the ground power and air conditioning unit and also remove the wheel chocks. And we can ask for pushback. Okay, passenger signs are on. MCP is set at V2 149. Heading of 203 and altitude. No, I haven't checked for any initial clearance. 3,000 only, okay, wow. And that's not a lot, but that's fine. Flight directors, auto throttle arm, LNAV, VNAV. Let's done. Takeoff speeds 132, 132, 149. Series pre-flight is completed. Trim is free at 00 units. Taxi and takeoff briefing. Taxi will be super short. We can quickly have a look here. So just a pushback with the tail to the right, and then we just taxi down here, take a left-hand turn, and then we are on the runway already. So super short taxi. And beacons go on. Perfect. Okay, and also we can put all the fuel pumps on. Overdrives as well. Now we need to check, I believe.
Departure check completed.
Oh, now I just hit something for the pushback.
Release parking brakes.
Sorry, I will quickly restart the pushback since I have no idea what I just hit. Okay, sorry about that, but now the pushback truck is coming in again, so we should be fine. In the meantime, I wanted to check the fuel and see, so that's 10.1 on each side, so the cross feeds will stay off as they are. That's good. Window heats,
we are ready for pushback.
packs on. Okay, now it's just for a second. Could have done it earlier. Everything else, I believe, emergency lights, of course. Everything else looking good.
Locking gear.
Okay, so scheduled departure time would be 0:25 Zulu. Now it's 0:26, so we are pretty much on time, just 1 minute behind scheduled time. Tail goes to the right. Let's make sure we get the right one. Okay.
Bypass pin inserted. Release parking brakes. Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
All right, and off we go. There's a bit of AI track. Oh, there's another CargoLux back there. Okay, nice. But I believe the runway is free. Are there any AI traffic coming in to depart? Okay, there's one, looks like A330 is coming in, and another one back there, so we will need to monitor that we don't hit anyone, but we can hopefully do that. Okay, and let's get those engines going. So packs 2 and 3 go off, and we start engines 3 and 4. Beautiful sound as always as the GEs are firing up. And yeah, weather looks fine, just a few clouds up there, but nothing too bad. And then taxi, as already mentioned, very short, just down here, left-hand turn over there. And then we will have the full runway length available, and that's also a 748. Beautiful. Okay, those were the starter cutouts. Engines 3 and 4 of course are running. So let's get 2 and 1 fired up. And then there's another FedEx aircraft back there. So a bit of cargo aircrafts here. I believe there will probably be even more than that in Hong Kong.
Set parking brakes. Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
Okay, we quickly wait for the startup to finish, and then we can confirm that to GSX. In the meantime, VOR's traffic and weather on my side, and VOR's traffic terrain. Terrain is of course not too interesting here, but still kind of nice to see where the water is. Okay, so we have good starts on all engines. We can confirm that to GSX. And then we can put the hydraulic pumps on. Those go to auto, and those as well. Packs 2 and 3 go back on, and APU goes off.
Unlocking gear.
Okay, before it checks the checklist, anti-ice is not needed, of course, today. Checklist. Recall, of course, is checked. Auto brake, RTO, flight controls. Full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral, and the rudder. Full left, and full right. Let's check. And ground equipment, they are gone. Perfect. So that's cleared as well.
Left is clear.
Okay, flag 20. And let's set the takeoff trim before we forget. It should be 6.0, so that needs quite a bit of trimming here. Okay, there we are. Taxi lights. Perfect. Okay, let's see. Silk Air 737. There's another A330. I think the other one's already on the runway. There it is. And then I hope I can get a departure slot even without using ATC. Hope there's not much more traffic coming in. 330 is speeding up, but seems like there's not any other aircrafts coming in just now for takeoff. So we will only have a few seconds to wait until we get on the runway. That's good. Alright, so we are pretty much good to go. Let's quickly hold here until this silk air is on the runway. Okay, and for the departure, the only thing we have to remember is the initial climb clearance. 3000 is really not a lot. We will get there rather fast today. I'm just seeing I have still the lights on from the previous flights. Don't need that. Okay, and this goes to TARA and should be tilted above. There it is. Yes, so we are of course much lighter compared to the previous flight. So the takeoff performance will be rather different, although we have dialed the engine power quite a way back. Okay, and he's running off, so we can go ahead onto the runway. And there seems like there's no traffic coming in to land. Yeah, can't see anything, and also on the radar doesn't show anything, so that should be good. Okay, inbound landing lights, strobes. And the before takeoff checklist, flaps are set at 20, that's done.
Approaching 20 right.
That's correct, so runway is verified, 20 right.
On runway 20 right.
It seems like it just disappeared from the radar, quite interesting. Ah, okay, and there's the insufficient fuel. That's also interesting since we just hit 11. But let's go with that. I mean, it should be fine, right? Okay, so advancing the throttles to about 50%. Power is there. Toga. And off we go over to Hong Kong, 3.5-hour flight. And this will be the second leg of our cargo tour around the world.
80 knots.
So we won't need a lot of runway today. It was just 92.6% N1, and let's rotate already. We're still in the touchdown zone.
V2.
73, positive rate, gears coming up. So that was pretty easy. There's the Starlines 777 down there. And beautiful PBR effects as well down there. Okay, and as expected, we have a rather nice climb performance here. It's a tiny bit shaky, but not too much. Okay, climb power 90.2. Okay, and let's assume we are cleared already, so we don't have to worry about the altitude anymore. 39er and flaps 10. And now over at the right hand side we should have another nice view on Singapore. Yes, there are the buildings down there, the Marina Bay Sands. Nice stuff. Flaps 5.
Altimeter setting.
The altimeter setting, I remember. Still pretty annoying. Let's not worry about it. Flaps 1. And the flaps upback is just at the next speed, 230. So let's head into this left-hand turn now.
Altimeter setting.
Okay, let's keep flap 1 out there until we have completed the turn, and then we are more stable and can retract the flaps. Although it would also be fine now, of course.
Altimeter setting.
Perfect, sticking to exactly 230 knots, flaps up. And let's put this autopilot on. And taxi lights go off. After takeoff checklist, landing gears up, flaps are up, completed. Easy, insufficient fuel. Yeah, maybe we can get a shortcut somewhere. Go direct to some waypoint. We will see.
Altimeter setting.
But I still wonder why our fuel is so low, really, since sim brief, well, it has calculated 11 tons for reserves. Almost, not quite. That's probably where the small difference is coming from. We are expected to use 28 tons on the trip itself, so yeah, it's definitely enough for the trip.
Altimeter setting.
Alright, beautiful view on the airport down there with all the ships around. I'm not sure if you ever flew into Singapore in real life, but there are really a ton of ships around the airport. Really, it's pretty crazy. So let's get this lined up a little bit here, and then yeah, we are approaching 10,000 feet. Okay, now there's a bit of, okay, needs time to load in. Okay, passing 10,000, lights go off. And packs are on, that's good. Okay guys, and that was already the departure out of Singapore. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and then I will see you back in about 3 hours with hopefully enough fuel on board. And enjoy! folks, welcome back to the flight deck. We are getting close to Hong Kong and we are quite low already, about to pass 12,000 feet. But that's not necessarily because we are super close yet, but that's simply how the approach is dialed in. So yeah, it has been a little bit bumpy on the cruise, but other than that, pretty easy going. I have tried to save as much fuel as possible. We have been cruising at 390. It has been the recommended altitude all the way, and also I've dialed down the cost index to 5. But in the end, we still are a little bit low on fuel, so I expected a level 10.2. It's not a lot, but it's sufficient for today. Weather is quite good here in Hong Kong. And yes, so we are on the Betty to Bravo arrival, but that's pretty straightforward. More interesting is the final approach chart. And today we are on an ILS landing runway 25 right. 25 right is of course the preferred runway for arrivals in Hong Kong. 25 left is the preferred runway for departures, and thus we will need to do a little bit of taxiing on the ground, but that's fine. And yes, we are closing in on VOR TD, which is Tang Lung, or Tung Lung, however you say it. And that's now 28 miles ahead, where we want to be between 6,000 and 8,000. And then after that, at some time, we will get to waypoint River, which is the beginning of the localizer. And at 4,000, we will hopefully then intercept the glide slope, which is dialed in here. And yes, the approach might be a bit interesting today. There are tons of information on the airport charts regarding the wind. And transition was 11,000. That's right. This goes to, I haven't said previously, 1008. Okay, there we are. The wind situation is super interesting, since of course in front of the airport there are these mountains. And with the winds coming from sort of east or southern or southwestern direction, there might be a bit of wind shear, since the wind is sort of it hits the mountains and then after the mountain drops back towards the airfield, and that's exactly the situation we have today. So there are a bit of wind coming in from this direction. So yeah, we will see. We might get a bit of wind shear, a bit of turbulence during the final approach. But since we know that this could happen and we are sort of prepared for it, I hope we will be fine. 10,000, lights go on. Yes, I hope AI traffic is not messing with us. There's one aircraft here descending as well. I'm not too sure where it's heading though. We will see. If there's any traffic on the final, we can simply hold in VOR TD, Tango Delta. And yes, descent checklist, that's all completed. Flap 30, speed 141, and we will add 10 knots, although we are super light and it's not too much wind. But given the situation which I've just explained, the possible wind shears, we will put 10 knots on top, makes 151. We're on auto brake 2, the runway is super long, we are light, no need to do any hard braking. And yes, so that's the data. Almost 12,000 feet available, 9,400 as calculated. All right, what next? Approach checklist altimeters are set to local 1008. That's done. And yes, everything else looking pretty standard. Of course, the go around. That is super interesting, of course, here. We can see on the chart that we will do a right-hand turn and then pass VOR Lung Hu Chao, and then later on we'll get back to VOR Changlong. So pretty interesting go around route, but that's all properly dialed in here in the FMC or on the navigation display, as you can see. So it should be pretty straightforward for us to follow, simply following the flight director. That's all well, and the altitude is, let me double check, climb to 4,000 and then later on to 5,000. Yeah, so we will dial in 4,000 for the go-around altitude. Sweet, okay. And speeds, there's also a note on there, maintain 180 knots until 7 miles from the runway, and starting from 15 miles from the runway. Okay, 15 miles, that's exactly waypoint reverse, so at reverse, let's see if that's that, and reverse we want to make 180, that's correct, okay. That's all accurately dialed in. Easy, okay, and yeah, thus we should have a pretty well planned approach. Okay, now we can see some terrain coming up. Yeah, it's of course just ORBX Global, no open landscape package for Asia, so that's why it probably might not look too great out there anyhow. It's fine. It's a bit hard to tell what this guy is doing there. You might almost be able to see him somewhere. Ah, there he is. Okay, what's that? That's a Cathay Dragon A330, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, he is 10 miles ahead now, which is good, which is plenty, so we don't need to hold, but I think I will reduce speed a little bit. To not get too close to him. Given the way, the direction it goes, it might be landing on 25 left anyway. Yeah, probably is. Okay, what else? Yeah, speed brakes. I don't think we will need them now, so we can arm them. Passenger signs are on. Flight time now 3:16. And yeah, let's enjoy this approach a little bit. There's Hong Kong. That's beautiful stuff. That, I believe, is the old island of Kai Tak Airport, which is now used for buildings. That's totally worth a screenshot. Quite a beautiful approach always into Hong Kong, although the terrain is not looking too great. Given how this looks, I kind of start looking forward to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I believe especially those areas will look much better. But it keeps loading in, and I think it's just a bit slow in loading in as well. Okay, anyhow, let's put out flap 1 so we can get down to those 180 knots. And it's very hard to tell on what runway it's on. Okay, and flap 5, and then we can drop exactly to 180. That's perfect. Okay, but now he's on the localizer 25 right. Okay, so at least AI traffic is doing realistic operations, which is good. And now we should be heading into this left-hand turn any second. Again, referring to the speeds again, now it says 180 until 7 miles. Okay. And then at 7 miles we can drop to our VREF speeds. Okay, I believe we can arm the localizer. And let's dial this to the final heading of 254. Yeah, he's almost 10 miles ahead of us, so that's plenty. That should be fine unless he takes ages to get off the runway, which I hope it won't. Perfect, that's the localizer, so approach mode. It's a beautiful view on Hong Kong as well. Oh, and by the way, I've dialed down the cloud resolution quite a bit to make sure we are not running into any VRAM issues. That's why they might look a little bit blurry there. Okay, that's the glide slope just there. And yeah, this will stay at 4,000. And let's see how much traffic there is. There's the A330 in front of us. Okay, and once we get to 7 miles, now it's 11.5, we will go to the rev speed, of 151. It's not a difficult approach itself. I just noticed it's pretty straightforward. It's a very long final approach, so that always makes it a bit easier. And there's the famous bridge. Also, I believe it's quite nice to do nighttime approaches into Hong Kong. Maybe we can do that at some time. So he's still not down. There he is, still flying. A couple of cargo aircrafts back there. Okay, now it's 7.7, quite close. Let's put those on as well, taxi lights. Okay, 7 miles, 150, 51, right? Yeah, 151, flip 10. Okay, now there's a bit of airport loading in, and flap 20 and gear down. That's quite awesome with the buildings in the background still. Awesome stuff. Okay, flap 25. I think we could have done a flap 25 landing as well today. Anyhow, we have set up for flap 30, so let's do this. Okay, sweet, 4 miles to go, and we can already complete the landing checklist. That's easy, and I can take the aircraft quite early. And then we have a long... This, okay. Now it is, okay. Perfect, my aircraft. So let's hope for a good one. And that seems like he has already left the runway, yeah. Not exactly on the real exit, but anyhow, at least he's gone. Okay, now winds are straight ahead, but they are shifting quite a bit. So winds coming in, I think, on the higher levels from the left-hand side, and they are like breaking over the mountains. It doesn't feel too bad right now, to be honest. We have 2 white, 2 reds. We are spot on the glide slope.
Approaching minimums. Minimums.
Continue.
100. 50.
Now it's getting
40,
bumpy.
30. 20. 10.
And there we are. Reverse thrust. And that was a cruiser, wasn't it? Easy. So manual braking. Let's take the next one. Idle forward. Perfect. That was a very smooth landing. I'm super happy with that one. Okay, 30 knots. Perfect for a high-speed exit. Sweet. Welcome to Hong Kong, guys. Pretty nice landing so far. Well, not so far. It's kind of over, isn't it? And yes, that was quite nice. We need to take a left-hand turn here, just checking for AI traffic. And let's do a little bit of clean up. And flaps are coming up. Spoilers. And I think I haven't mentioned before, but the scenery, of course, is the taxi to gate scenery. Hong Kong version 2. It's not too old, just been released a couple of weeks ago now. And kind of like it so far. Okay, clean up. I think in Hong Kong this should go to transponder mode. Those go off traffic, terrain, flight directors, auto throttle. Yes. And now regarding the taxiing, so we are on taxiway Alpha and we need to catch taxiway Victor. Okay, I need to get a bit of orientation here. Okay, that's Bravo and Alpha 6. Alpha 6. Okay, so we have to go a bit further. Alrighty, flight time 3:25. And now it's 4:04 Zulu. Scheduled arrival time is 4:20 Zulu, so we have 15 minutes to get to the parking gate. That's perfect, plenty of time. Okay, landing lights. Strobes. APU, we can wait another second. It will be a bit of taxiing. Okay guys, and in terms of taxi routing, it will be Alpha, then Victor, then Juliet, then Juliet 6, Kilo 4, Kilo, Lima 2, Lima, and then we are on gate Charlie 21, hopefully. So it will be a bit of taxiing. Let's set up GSX, and then I can meet you down at the parking. And you guys can enjoy a bit of the scenery. Charlie 21, perfect. Good question, no idea. UPS is fine. Okay, that's Victor, the second one here. We will take this one and yeah, meet you down at the parking. Okay guys, we are just waiting for this A330 to get airborne, and then we can quickly cross the runway. There's a lot of traffic here departing right now, but I believe we can take a spot in between, and there we go, strobes on since we are crossing runway. And there he goes. And then it's anyway not too far for us to taxi. So I'm very impressed by the scenery. It looks like beautiful scenery, and above all it's pretty light on the frames as well. I can't feel any stutters or anything going crazy here. which is often the case at these heavy airports. But this is super smooth, so very nice. Okay, there's the cargo area. Ah, there's even this famous cable car. Awesome. There's a bit of cargo traffic, Cathay Pacific, Qatar Airways 747 as well. One of the two. I think they only have two, if I'm not mistaken. And now I think I can also put the APU on. It's not too far now. And let's kill one engine. We have plenty of power here to taxi. Another 748. So yeah, Hong Kong, of course, being a very busy cargo airport. And especially our next flight over to Anchorage, which is well, Hong Kong and Anchorage, they are sort of a major cargo link. So there might be even some AI traffic being on the same route as we are when we are flying this route. And here in Hong Kong, I believe we have something between 2 and 3 hours on the ground. And then we are off to Anchorage sort of in the afternoon. Okay, left-hand turn now. And then our parking is quite at the end of this cargo apron. I believe it's somewhere down there. Yeah, I think I can see GSX back there, not too sure. But yeah, we will see. Okay, so that's Charlie 21. I can't see a marshaller though. There is one GSX guy. I think he's standing just behind this pillar in the background there. Anyhow, we can get an outside view to park this thing up. Okay, taxi lights. APU can go on. Okay, there are the numbers. Should we trust the numbers? Somehow I feel they are not very accurate. Okay, 747. I think it's the last one back there. Yes, it is. Yeah, I think he would make us go much further than we should. So here we are, perfect. Okay, parking brake, those go to aux. And we can kill the engines. And beacons go off. And all the fuel pumps, of course. Window heat. Okay, sweet. And FS actions, ground connections, wheel chocks are set, and we can release the parking brake, and then we can also put those two off. Okay, shutdown checklist: hydraulic panel set, fuel pumps, flaps, parking brake is released, and that's done. Alrighty, so what do we have? Flight time 3:25, block time 3:49. Now it's 4:16, so we are 4:17, almost 3 minutes ahead of scheduled time. That's pretty spot on in my opinion. And we can ask for some deboarding, or deloading rather. Okay, sweet. And ground power, air conditioning, doors, open this one. And then there's the external power. APU can go off. I will leave this one available for the cargo door operation. Nose cargo, side cargo, after and forward cargo. Perfect. Okay, IRSs. Yeah, we are on the ground for a bit, so I believe they would be turned off in reality. Are they off? Yes, they are. Emergency lights off, and packs are off. Let's put the fan on in order we get not too hot in here. Oh, and I'm just seeing I still have these strobes on. That's of course not too good. Alright, perfect. And on that note, welcome to Hong Kong once again. We have just completed the second leg of our tour around the world. Next up will be this flight from Hong Kong to Anchorage, where we will just do a quick refueling stop and then carry on to Chicago. So I'm hoping to see you back in the next video, and take care.